So welcome back to April's Basic Saturday Sampler here at Close to Home in Southington. So beginning Saturday, April 18th at 10 o'clock, you can bring your completed March block to receive your April's kit free. We also have selected bolts, finish the bolts for 50% off, there's no limit. And also wanted to tell you that April is Serger month. We have deep discounts on Baby Locks and Janome Jet Air threading sergers, so come on in and try one. So we're going to get started with the April Basic block. We have two components to our block this month. We're going to be making these half square triangles with our Creative Grid folded corner clipper, and then we're going to add a small accent to the orange 90-degree corner with our folded corner clipper, and it's just going to add a little extra color to our corner blocks. So we're going to start with a half square, and then we're going to add our square cut with our folded corner clipper, and I'll show you how to do that to get this unit. The other unit beside the corners are our quarter square triangles. Now each of these squares is finished at 4 inches. That means that the height of this quarter square triangle is going to be a finished 2-inch. So you put them together into a quarter squares, you get 4 pieces, 4 triangles equal our 4-inch finish. And of course a very simple center, we're just cutting that 4.5 again to finish at 4. So I will show you how to put the half square triangles with the folded corner clipper accent to it, and we'll also use either the companion angle or the Creative Grid 90-degree quarter square triangle ruler. All right, so here's the cutting. Most everything is cut on a strip because we're using our rulers along the strip to cut the pieces that we need. So for the white, we have a 4.5, that's for our half square triangles. We also have a strip that's 2.5 inches, that's for our quarter square triangle block. The light blue, 2 2.5s. The orange is a 4.5, the yellow is a 2.5, and those little red accent pieces with the corner clipper are all going to be cut at 1.5 square. All right, we already talked about the multi-blue, that's cut at 4.5. So let's start with the corner ruler, the corner squares, half square triangles. Today I'm going to be using the folded corner clipper to cut my half square triangles. Sure, better. And the top of our strip is going to be here at the blunt side of our folded corner clipper, and the bottom of our strip is going to be at 4.5 because we're cutting our strip 4.5, and basically all we're doing is cutting this shape, and we're going to turn it and cut another one and cut 4. The main thing to think about is we want our fabrics cut at the same time, right sides together, so that I can cut my triangles and just take them right over to the sewing machine and sew them together as a half square triangle. So to do that, we need the 4.5-inch strips, again from the white and the orange. So I'm going to begin by putting my white and orange together, right side of the white to the right side of the orange. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this at 4.5 inches. It's longer because I need it for the quarter square, but right now I'm just concentrating on the 4.5 for the half square. All right, so all I'm going to do is get myself a nice clean edge. I really like the 6.5 by 18.5. I think it's a great size. It's not super long or wide that takes over the table. I think it's a very, very good size to have. That is 6.5 by 18.5. So I'm going to turn my fabric around. I'm going to look for my 4.5. Easy enough. I look for my 1/2 inch side, and then I'm counting over 1.5 to 2.5, 3.5. So this is my 4.5 inch mark. So I'm going to line up the 4.5 with my cut side of my fabric, and I'm just going to cut a nice rectangle that's 4.5 inches wide. Okay, now I need the rest of this white, so I don't want to get rid of that. I'll just put that with my blue for now. All right, so to cut our half square triangles, like I said, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take my folded corner clipper, I'm going to place the blunt edge up at the top of my strip and the 4.5 inch mark at the bottom. I brought it in just a tad because this is not even over here and I need a nice even cut here. So the first cut we're going to do is the angle and the side. Okay. The next one we're going to do, I'm just going to leave those right where they belong. Not going to mess them. And I'm going to put the blunt side of my creative corner, folded corner clipper at the bottom of my strip and the 4.5, as you can see, along the top of my strip. We're going to cut another one. Just kind of get this out of the way. I have 4 corners, so I'm going to make 4 half square triangles. And the last one. Well, if it moves a little bit, just kind of shimmy it right back where it belongs. Put your ruler down. Look for that 4.5. This is great for making all size half square triangles. All right. So now when we sew these, we're going to start up at this 90-degree corner right here. I know this is the 45, but I do have a 90-degree corner, and I'm going to go right from that corner to the edge, right down here, 1/4 inch. So let's go ahead and do that first. Get these half square triangles taken care of. Put a lot of Mary Ellen's Best Press on my kit fabric before I have cut them. They seem a little bit sturdier, crisper, easier to cut through and to sew, so the edges don't get pushed down into my stitch plate as much. So you might want to consider the Mary Ellen's Best Press when you're making your kits, cutting your kits. Okay, so I have this first one. We're going to press this to the orange. So when we press to the orange side is up, and we're just going to fold that over, give that a little bit of a finger press, and I'm going to just take this real quick to the iron. Okay, and just give it a final press. Okay, I just kind of hold it. All right. And I have my half square triangle. I have my 1.5 inch square. So what we're going to do is we're going to place the square into the 90-degree corner of the orange side of my half square triangle. I'm going to take my folded corner clipper and place the top of the ruler at the top of my orange side and look for the bottom at 1.5 of my square. So this is on the side of my square, this is at the bottom of my square, this is at the top of my square, and you can also see this little black line that's going up the third 90-degree corner. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this. And we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to sew it again from this 90-degree corner right here. That's right here. And we're going to come out this 90-degree corner. All right. Try to get as close to that point or that corner edge as you can. Helps that it goes in nice and straight. In one corner and out one corner. Okay, so you can see how this was right here at the 90 and out this side. Okay, so now when we fold this and press this to the corner, we have a nice straight line going along our square. And it just adds a little extra accent to our piece. And one more press, and then we can do our quarter. Okay. Just a little bit of heat. And again, we're just flipping that right back into the corner. So to the orange and then to the red. All right. The next thing we're going to do is our quarter square triangles. And again, we're going to cut our strips at the same time. So I need 2 strips of blue that are cut 2 1/2. And I need one of the white 2 1/2 and one of the yellow 2 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and put right sides together, my blue and my white. I'm going to go ahead and cut a nice straight starting line. All right, I'm going to spin this around. And I'm going to cut this at 2 1/2. So just like the other one, that was 4 1/2, I look for my 1/2 inch, and then I go to the 1 1/2 inch line and the 2 1/2 inch line, and just visualize this solid line going right up that nice straight edge we cut. So we're not going to move these, we're just going to keep them together. Oh, or if that happens, we can just put them right on top of each other. All right, we'll set that one aside and we'll do the yellow. So right sides together. And again, I need a nice straight edge. Don't cut too much off, just enough to straighten it. All right, just a little bit. Got a little static electricity going on my ruler. All right, and 2 1/2 for this one. Doesn't matter, blue up, yellow up, white up, doesn't matter. Okay, so when we cut it, it doesn't matter, but now when we go to cut our quarter square triangle shapes, it's imperative that we have it with the blue up. That way it's easier just to take to our sewing machine, and I'll show you why. So I have 2 rulers for you. You have your choice. The Easy Angle Quilting Companion Angle is going to have the size of the strip in the middle with the finished size of your square down the side. Okay, so again, our finished size of our square is 4 inches. I look over to the center and I know to cut my strip 2 1/2. All right, I believe they are having trouble getting these in, so I have a few of these in stock, but Creative Grid has come up with one. And it's also the exact same angle, exact same lines on the ruler, including the little blunt top edge. It allows you for much larger quarter square triangles. Okay, it's the same thing. The only thing it doesn't have are the numbers down the side. But if you think about it, our square finishes at 4, so half of 4 finishes at 2, and if I look at the 2, I just say 2 and I add a half. Okay, it's pretty easy to find the size of your triangle, which is half the size of your finished quarter square triangle, and add a 1/2 inch. So I have my strips. I'm going to go ahead and place my ruler at the top of my strip, the blunt side right at the top, and I look for the 2 1/2 inch mark, which is this solid line going straight across here. I actually wrote these on magic marker just for further reference, because that's sort of what I was used to, but you really don't need it. All right, so get this over enough so that you're not going to be run short on this side. You want to make sure that you have enough to trim this angle as well. All right, so I'm going to place this here. I'm going to go ahead and cut my first angle. Come around and cut this side. All right. And then we're just going to leave this right here where it is, and we're just going to continue. I just turned the ruler 180. I didn't flip it over or anything like that. I just turned it 180, and that last cut that we did here is now on the side of my ruler. Blunt side is now at the bottom of my strip, and the 2.5 inch mark goes right along the top. All right, we're going to cut it. We're going to rotate, and we're going to just continue to do that. All right. Going right in there, and again. And I'm going to make one more. We're just going to continue this strip. So I need 4 of these blue and white, and I also need 4 of the blue and yellow. So I'm going to turn this over and start again. Make sure that I have enough on this edge that I'm not going to cut anything off. Don't really want to waste too much. I have this angle and this angle. All right, and again. And again, I could use a companion angle. It's the same thing. I'm looking at the same exact markings. It's the 2.5 line, the blunt side, the same angle that I have here. Either ruler is going to work well, but like I said, this one has, I believe, been discontinued. So if you have it, which we've done this in the past, you might have it. Whoops. It does slip a little. It's not as grippy as the Creative Grid, you know, because they're really good about putting those edges along the ruler so it doesn't slip. But you could put dots on this, I suppose. It's fine. All right, so here we go. So now when we bring these quarter square triangles to the sewing machine, we're gonna sew down the exact same side. So whether it's white and blue or yellow and blue, I'm always gonna sew down this right hand side. So I'm just gonna line these up with the tops at the top, all of these, so as not to get confused. They're all going to be sewn on the right hand side of the triangles. And I like to start at this point and come out to there. This is a little narrow, and I'm afraid that even with the Mary Ellen's Best Press, it might get pushed into the stitch plate. Okay, so I'm going to sew down the right hand side. On all 8 of these. I'm just going to do a couple for you. What color was that? White? Let me grab a yellow. All right, so I can at least put a pair together. So no matter if it's the blue and white or the yellow and white, they are right sides together when we cut them. And we're sewing them with the blue side up on the right side of the triangle. Hopefully that's not too confusing. All right, so what this is going to yield is a half square triangle, basically. I have 1/2 of my triangle, and I have another half of my triangle. All right, so we're always going to press toward the blue on this one and this one so that our seam allowances can lock together at that point. And this should be obviously the same size as the one I just sewed, and we're going to go ahead and sew this one. You can take it to the iron if you want. I just know my seams are locked. I kind of did a little bit of a finger press to them. And here I have to start at that point. Let's hope it doesn't jam. Oh, very nice. Okay, stop and get the last part of my triangles together. And go ahead and feed that through at 1/4 of an inch. And I just made a 1/4 square triangle. Pretty easy when you have the tools. Okay, you want to make sure that that seam really locks in the center so you get a nice snug fit. All right, I believe I just pressed this to one side. If you want to press it open, you can, but for pretty much, I believe I just pressed it to one side. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll just finish up the block real quick. All of the 1/4 square triangles, whoops, it's messy, sorry. Okay, all of the 1/4 square triangles are going to have a yellow side and a white side. They're all going to go to the center, toward the center square. Whoops. And these are all the red little folded corner are going to go to the center as well. And we're just going to make 2 rows like that. The middle row is just going to have our 4.5 inch square in the center. We'll go ahead and sew 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay, pretty easy block. Folded corner clipper, which is a creative grid ruler. I also have the 90-degree 1/4 square triangle, also a beautiful ruler. You can make very large 1/4 square triangles, and I have the companion angle as well. So I hope you enjoy the tools today, and you get your blocks done for next month, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.